she's not a great babysitter or human,
That's
but
fair.
like they set her up this way.
Or human.
Hey, I'm Blake.
And I'm Dave.
And this is First Prize Films, the podcast where, for the fourth time now, we each select a genre-specific movie separated by at least a decade and pit them against each other to find out which film wins the coveted title of First Prize. Dave, let us know what that means.
It means nothing. So today we are cutting our way through these slasher horror films.
Yes, we are.
And I made Blake watch 2007's Halloween, a movie about a misunderstood boy and his trusty knife and mask and small murder spree.
Oh, it sounds so sweet.
It's quaint.
Meanwhile, I made Dave watch the iconic 1996 slasher film Scream, a movie that makes me hope if my friends kill me that they'll spend more than $15 on a costume to do it in. All right, I have one major question for you, dude.
Sure.
When we were discussing our movie picks for this episode, you said Halloween.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I assumed it was the original, or the 2018 version at least.
Nope.
You chose Rob Zombie's Halloween. Literally, why?
Due to the ditches that burn, to the witches that slam in the back of my truck.
I regret this episode so deeply already. This is a horrible idea.
This is the only one that I've actually ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen the original, and I have never seen the new one, and I don't plan on it because I don't care.
I mean, I have my thoughts on the new one, and I don't know. I just assumed that everybody's seen at least the original Halloween, but I guess I'm wrong.
Nope.
I remember seeing this movie right when it came out, actually, at a drive-in with my entire family.
Oh, God.
So you can probably guess how that went.
That did not go well.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable. But I remember liking it, enough at the time, and I probably haven't seen it since then. Scream, on the other hand, I've loved this movie for a long time, but I do have to admit, it's been a very long time since I've seen it, so revisiting it was kind of a weird treat.
Yeah, I've never even seen Scream up until this point.
Really?
Yeah, no, I have not seen it.
I'm learning so much about you, Dave. This is great. I have to say, this was an interesting experience watching both of these movies back to back.
I agree.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, I do have to be clear that we watched the unrated cut of Halloween.
Yes, we did. Not on purpose.
No, not on purpose. It's somebody's mistake. I'm not going to point out who. But with that in mind, let's get into this thing.
All right, let's do it.
Movie 1, Halloween, 2007.
All right, Dave, give us the synopsis for 2007's Rob Zombie's Halloween.
In this feel-good story, protective older brother Michael Myers does everything in his power to reunite with his long-lost baby sister, including walking for days, going to their old house, and a little bit of murder.
So we open to the front of the Myers house, where Michael Myers lives.
Wait, do the Myers live there? Are you sure? Is the whole family there?
I'm fairly certain that the whole Myers family lives there. So their house is decorated for Halloween in Haddonfield, Illinois, on Halloween.
We're talking about Halloween.
On Halloween.
Got it.
We cut to a child-sized Michael Myers, a.k.a. Mikey, in a cheap clown mask playing with his pet rat. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily weird, but I am saying that the weirdest people that I've ever known have had pet rats.
Whoa. Don't be pet shaming people here. I know people have rats.
I'm not pet shaming, I'm people shaming.
for their choice of pets.
Yes. But then we cut to his mom arguing with her deadbeat boyfriend who looks like a pile of trash on meth and an infant nearby. And they have a pretty nondescript argument. Oh, well, that is until the boyfriend says,
"Bitch, I will crawl over there and I will skull fuck the shit out of you."
Oh, so he's a charmer. Got it.
We're literally 2 minutes into this movie, and this is what I really, really remember from this movie, because my mom's a horror movie fan, but she turned to all of us in the family, and she's like, "Boys, we are about to leave."
So mom sends the teenage daughter to go get Mikey for breakfast, and we see Mikey washing blood off of a pocket knife. Wait, he just killed his own pet rat? Well, I guess I don't know why I've forgotten that we're watching a horror movie, but here we are.
Feel bad for the rat. not the person who killed the rat. We've established it's
Correct.
the owners
Who suck.
who are garbage.
Yes. Anyway, so Mikey and his sister finally come into the kitchen, and he tells his mom that the rat died, so he had to flush him.
Rats and plumbing probably don't go well together.
No.
The only thing I do know for sure is that the plumber for the Myers household must be on call 24/7. Who knows what kind of stuff they're flushing.
So now we're with Mikey at school, and he's in the bathroom when an over-the-top school bully comes in and immediately starts shit with Mikey.
Hey, Mikey, how's your mom doing? You know, my old man said that for $1 she'd rub her tits on his face. Shut up.
It feels like he's taking your mama joke a little far.
Yeah, he's like slut-shaming Mikey's mom, but also kind of looking for that connect. You know, he's feeling it out.
Yeah, he's taking the term MILF to a level that none of us really ever thought about. So
Oh, no. Through this whole opening and up to this point, we realize very quickly that these aren't just normal characters. These are Rob Zombie characters.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's garbage.
Anyway, so Mikey and the bully start tussling, and somehow the principal hears from down the hall like he's got dog hearing or something.
He might.
And he comes in and he breaks up the fight. So then Mikey's mom shows up, and she's more mad that she has to come down than Mikey getting into the fight.
Jesus, what is it with you in this goddamn school? I cannot keep coming down here like this.
So at this point, this cool-looking hippie, Dr. Loomis, waltzes in like he's the Fonz.
Dude. Groovy Dr. Loomis looks like he sells acid to kids through the fence on the playground.
Miss Myers, this is Dr. Loomis. I took the liberty of calling him in.
Apparently, Dr. Loomis is a child psychologist, and this makes Mom even more pissed. Like, don't you dare try and fix my kids' issues. Those are for me to ignore.
So true.
But Dr. Loomis asks,
Has your son ever had any kind of serious psychiatric evaluation?
Okay, I've had enough.
and this makes Mom get up to leave when Dr. Loomis and the principal reveal why they're concerned, which is pictures of dead animals and a dead cat in a bag in the principal's desk drawer like it's his lunch for later.
Who keeps a dead animal in their drawer? This man needs a psychologist, not Mikey. Well, I guess they both need one.
So Dr. Loomis warns the mom that
Typically, the thrill of hurting or causing pain to smaller creatures, it's often an early warning sign
For what?
for much deeper and bigger problems.
next thing you know, we're in the woods with the bully when Mikey pops out like it's a surprise birthday party and just cracks the bully with a branch. Not a stick, Blake, a full-on branch.
I'm sorry.
Mikey literally beats the bully to death with said branch. So now we're back at home that evening with Mikey and Mom's boyfriend Ronnie as Mikey is waiting for his sister, aka Judith, to take him trick-or-treating. But then Judith's boyfriend shows up and Mikey is like,
What about trick-or-treating?
Are you kidding me? Go by yourself.
okay, listen, not only do I feel bad for Michael Myers, I feel bad for feeling bad for Michael Myers.
Yes, a child was killed just recently.
Yes.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, cool.
I don't
Sure.
mean to say that I condone the killing of children or other humans, but I think the killing is narratively justified because everybody sucks in this movie.
Internet, you can come for Blake on that one.
I do have to give props to this movie, though. I think the idea of Michael Myers' origin story is a good idea, and I think they present it pretty interestingly, where we do feel bad for him.
Yeah. Smash cut to Judith and her boyfriend naked about the fuck, and the boyfriend immediately ruins it by pulling out the traditional Michael Myers mask.
I don't know why she's so turned off. I mean, look at that beautiful
Milky
white face with two black eyes staring back at her.
Take that stupid thing off.
So after trick-or-treating, Mikey's eating loose candy he got like it's not fucking gross as hell. While Mikey's eating the gross loose candy, Ronnie is passed out on the couch. And suddenly Mikey grabs a roll of duct tape and a giant kitchen knife and is now standing over Ronnie.
You rascally kids and your hobbies.
So Mikey pulls out a giant strip of tape in the most dramatic way possible, and the next thing you know, Ronnie is covered in duct tape, wrapped to the couch. And Mikey puts his clown mask back on and just fucking slits Ronnie's throat, looking into his eyes as the life leaves them, like he's just watching a YouTube video.
Again, don't love humans are dying, but I'm fine with it. Ronnie sucks. I'm glad he's dead. I said it.
Now we see Judith's boyfriend all dressed and leaving the bedroom as Judith puts on some headphones, clearly not satisfied. Not that I know what that looks like. Okay, I do. Anyway, the boyfriend goes to make himself a sandwich, passing Mikey along the way, who's just creepily standing in the hall holding a baseball bat. What happened to the knife?
He wanted something a little more blunt.
So as the boyfriend is eating his sandwich, Mikey sneaks up on him like a fucking ninja and just... Mikey beats the fuck and life out of this guy.
We know what he's going to do, but the movie like takes its time.
Right.
And like makes us sit there while Mikey watches him with the bat in hand. And it's really effective, I have to say.
Yeah. Now we're back with Judith, who has headphones on, as Mikey just creaks open the door and stands there like a creepy mannequin before walking in. And he takes off the clown mask, and he puts on the discarded actual Michael Myers mask, making himself look like a cheaply made bobblehead.
It's so goofy looking. He should have kept his like little clown mask. That's like creepier.
So he gets to Judith, and he slowly runs his fingers up her leg to her almost ass. Now, obviously, first and foremost, gross, that's your sister. Secondly, she doesn't even pay much attention to it because she thinks it's her boyfriend. Until, of course, she grabs his hand, finally realizing that it's not her boyfriend. And she's like,
Michael, what the fuck are you doing in here?
and Michael is like, shank, and stabs Judith with a knife. Bro, pick a weapon already. Next thing you know, Judith is crawling down the hallway with Mikey slashing at her back before she finally collapses and dies.
Ugh.
And then, as if he didn't just commit triple homicide, Mikey goes into the infant sister's room and is all smiles and says,
Happy Halloween, boo.
So Mom comes home to Mikey with the clown mask back on, like he felt just as stupid as he looked, and he's holding baby sister on the porch, and Mom's like, what's going on? Well, don't you worry, Mom. There's a reporter on scene somehow with all the facts of the case telling us what happened.
They're here so quick. They know exactly what happened as they're rolling the bodies out of the house.
Right. Like, what?
10-year-old Michael Myers was transferred after being found guilty of first-degree murder. Dr. Samuel Loomis has now been appointed by Judge Masterson to oversee Myers' care while incarcerated.
So we get Michael sitting across from Dr. Loomis, and the doctor is setting up a recording machine so that they can talk. And Loomis finally asks Michael what he remembers about that night. And we find out he doesn't remember doing it, and he thinks he didn't even do it.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, me neither. So then we get the first of 3,000 old grainy footage clips of Mikey with Dr. Loomis doing a voiceover.
Oh my God, there's so many of these.
Dude. Now, for the best part of this movie so far, Danny
Trejo.
Anyway, he's a janitor named Ishmael, and he decides to try and help Mikey with a good old-fashioned pep talk.
I spent a little time behind walls. I know they can drive you crazy.
What if that's all a serial killer needed to stop killing? A pep talk.
You know, that's a nice thought, Dave. Maybe somebody can give me a pep talk and cure my diabetes.
So Ishmael tells Mikey, you got to live inside your head. There's no walls that can stop you there, which turns out to be really bad advice.
It sounds like bad advice. Hey, retreat back into yourself, just live in your own head and create your own fantasies, and everything's going to be fine for you. Probably.
Maybe a better pep talk like, hey, don't kill people. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist.
Michael has begun to obsess on the construction of these primitive masks.
So we see a couple more grainy clips, much to my chagrin, and Mikey has on progressively creepier masks throughout them.
I really like this mask motif, though. Like, it's clever, and it sets up a lot of stuff and deepens the lore behind Michael Myers, because he's always behind a mask.
Right.
Plus, some of the masks he makes are genuinely creepy.
Very creepy. So over the next, what seems like week of this movie, we see Mikey freaking out, screaming, then defeated, wanting to leave, before it finally culminates with him no longer speaking. And now Mom comes to visit for the last time, and she leaves a picture of Mikey and the baby sister with him as Loomis walks her out, leaving him alone with a nurse who makes fun of him.
You would think somebody who works at a psychiatric hospital would know not to poke fun at the patients, especially when they have sharp objects near them.
You'd think, because Mikey stabs her in the neck with a fork. And we see that from a security footage angle, which was actually pretty cool.
It would have been really cool 35 hours ago when this movie actually was interesting.
Right. And this part is actually pretty cool because as we see everyone freaking out, Loomis included, we hear only sirens from the facility.
Yeah, this was really clever filmmaking, actually, and really brought us kind of towards the finish line of this part of the story.
But now we see old home movies of a smiling Michael and Mom. And Mom is actually watching this footage on a projector from her couch. And then she sits up and grabs a revolver that she just happens to have. And then we see the footage as a gunshot rings out, followed by the screams of baby sister.
This was harrowing.
Dude, it gave me chills. But then we smash cut the fuck out of there because it's 15 years later. And now we see a clearly older Ishmael leading a new janitor who is super racist and major asshole to Mikey's cell.
He reminds me of Ricky Bobby's kids in Talladega Nights.
Oh my god, yeah.
We gotta play these clips back to back.
Don't look at me. I'll be a shitstorm in your worst nightmare, motherfucker.
I'm 10 years old, but I'll beat your ass. Chip, I'm gonna come at you like a spider monkey.
Oh my jeez. Ridiculous.
So this new racist janitor opens Michael's cell door and starts clapping at Michael. Bro, do you have a death wish? Ishmael starts to put chains on Michael and he goes,
Sorry about these chains, Mikey.
What do you mean you're sorry about these chains? You got feelings for this big idiot? Is that what it is?
Bro, what are you doing? This man is trying to die.
Listen, don't want to sound like a broken record. Kill this man. Just saying. Just saying.
So now we see Mikey all chained up with Loomis. And Loomis is like, I really don't know what else to say, Michael. You haven't said a word in 15 years.
Loomis just makes this whole thing about himself.
He totally does. And then he goes on to say that Michael has kind of become like his best friend. Excuse me? Isn't that day one shit? Hi, welcome to Psychiatry 101. Do not get attached. So after Loomis gets up and tells Michael to take care, we see a close-up of Michael's eyes with another Loomis voiceover.
These eyes will deceive you. They will destroy you. They will take from you your innocence, your pride, and eventually your soul.
Loomis's lecture scene here feels like the thematic hammer to the face. Like, bro, we get it. He's evil personified. Like, you spent the last fucking 40 minutes telling me this. We know. Move on.
But now we're back at the sanitarium with the racist janitor in street clothes walking with another new janitor, and they're talking shit back and forth. And now we're not going to talk about what happens, but we do want to give a trigger warning about sexual assault.
Yeah.
These two toilet scum janitors decide to do this heinous thing in front of a serial killer who is 6'8", wears masks, and doesn't speak. They might as well dive headfirst into a wood chipper.
Agreed. More human deaths, please.
So eventually, Michael snaps as the racist janitor pokes the literal bear with a smack, and I can't believe I'm rooting for Michael fucking Myers, but he kills both of the guards before leaving his cell.
Give me one of those big foam fingers. I'm here for this.
Mike is number one. But now we're with Ishmael as he happens on Michael's trail of carnage, culminating with a hallway literally painted with blood. Should we call him Michelangelo Myers? After he sees all this, he turns around into Michael.
What are you doing out of your room? Don't do nothing. We're both gonna regret later, okay, Mikey? I'm gonna have to get you back into your room.
Michael just grabs him and beats the shit out of him before finally ripping a TV off the wall and killing him with it. Yep, back to hating Michael Myers. Probably where I should have stayed, but I digress.
Took my foam finger off, hanging that one up.
Smash cut to Loomis's phone ringing, and he finds out that Michael got out.
Sam, it's a fucking massacre. I'm coming right away.
Now we cut to a semi-truck wash/service station, and we see a super charismatic man shouting to everyone, but also no one at the same time.
I love this scene, and I love this man. This is Grizzly, the trucker.
Grizzly's back in town. Who's got the Cracker Jack?
Grizzly is taking a shit in the bathroom, and Michael walks in and stands right in front of the stall door and knocks.
Hey, buddy. Just give you a heads up. I got a Taco Deluxe Supreme talking back at me. Do you mind waiting somewhere else and let me pass this beast in peace?
Michael, who doesn't mind the smell, I guess, doesn't leave, but instead kills Joe Grizzly and takes his coveralls.
We had all this character set up just to make sure Michael got his jumpsuit.
Right. So now we see on-screen text, Haddonfield, Illinois, October 31st. We're back to the start, baby. And it's present day.
Great.
And here we're introduced to Laurie Strode and her family.
But a major distinction here, Dave.
Yeah.
This isn't just classic Laurie Strode from the original. This is Rob Zombie's Laurie Strode, who fucking sucks.
Guess what, Mom? Mr. Nichols touched me the wrong way. Oh!
She's like edgelord Laurie Strode.
Cut to Laurie taking an envelope to the abandoned Myers house as she's accompanied by Tommy, the boy she babysits. And as they walk up to the house, Tommy freaks out about the boogeyman.
What are you, crazy? You can't go in there. The boogeyman lives in there. Oh no, Tommy. Don't even joke about it. I'm serious.
And we cut to Michael walking into his old basement in the dark, somehow, and he starts prying up floorboards before pulling a kitchen knife and the OG Michael Myers mask out from underneath.
He left his serial killer starter pack, and it just happens to still be there.
But also, when did he stash that stuff? And how? He was fucking, what, 12?
It's some incredible forethought.
So we're back with Laurie as she slides the envelope through the door slot, and Michael is on the other side of the fucking door. But then Michael picks up the envelope and he smells it.
It's never explained or really talked about. He doesn't sniff anything else. You know, he just laps it up. So bizarre.
So now we see Laurie with her friends, Annie and Linda, as they sit in a library, and Laurie notices Michael outside, but it's that thing where she looks and he's there, and she looks again, he's there, and she looks back and he's gone.
It's a cliche for sure.
Yeah.
And I have to say, this is another issue I have. I have a lot of issues. I know. But all of Laurie's friends are acting like Laurie is some like angel come to earth.
Yes,
right? She's like so sweet and stuff.
Annie, I really hate lying.
What are you, Mother Teresa?
No?
Yes, she is. Look at her. She's like a little angel.
But this movie first introduced her finger banging a bagel and making sex noises to her mom, and then antagonizing a little boy about the local murder house. What the fuck do you want from me, Mr. Zombie?
So now Laurie and Linda are walking home, and they notice Michael standing in the distance watching them, and they decide to heckle him. Like, did no one ever teach these girls about stranger danger? He's a giant in a mask. Fucking ignore him.
I don't care if it's Halloween. If you see a man that fucking big with a mask just walking around in the daytime, call the cops. Call the fucking cops. Jesus.
Hey, freak, you want some of the young stuff? You like that? Well, come and get it.
Fast forward to later that night as Michael is standing outside of his old house and a van backs into the driveway. And it's Linda and her boyfriend who go inside, and now Michael is somehow on the upstairs balcony. Like, how the fuck did he get up there so fast? So next thing you know, we see the couple fucking on the floor of the abandoned Myers house.
Dirty mattress sex.
After they finish fucking, Linda finishes a beer in disappointment, and I feel like I've said that before in this episode. Anyway, Linda tells Bob, the boyfriend, to get her another beer. When Bob comes back inside from getting the beer, Bob is now wearing a sheet like a ghost, but with his glasses on the outside.
Oh my God.
And then, boom, Michael fucking grabs him and pins him against the wall, choking him before stabbing his knife all the way through him into the wall.
Listen, that's some fine craftsmanship in the knife, and I would like to purchase one.
Sure you would.
I'm on a watch list. Anyway.
So now Michael decides that he's a prankster and puts the sheet and glasses on over his mask, by the way.
He's wearing glasses over a sheet, over his mask, over his actual head. Why? Like, the man's a comedic genius.
Okay, enough. Joke's over.
Michael walks into the room, and Linda doesn't notice that he's a good foot taller than her boyfriend, and he grabs her by the throat and squeezes the life out of her, and then carries her out of the room.
Taking out the trash. Jesus, that's terrible.
Oh, no.
Terrible.
Smash cut to Loomis in a gun store trying to buy a gun.
22 Smith & Wesson. That's okay if you want to just piss it off. If you want to blow its fucking head off. 357 Magnum.
So now we're back at Laurie's house after she's left, and Mom and Dad are on the porch. And after Mom goes inside, Michael ninjas into frame and slashes the dad's throat, pushing him inside the house.
Dude, this caught me off guard as fuck.
Then we're inside the house as Michael is basically torturing the mom.
He's like a predator, like batting around his food, like a kitty cat.
Yeah, and he's throwing her around before he shows her a picture of Laurie from somewhere in the living room. Mm-hmm. And Mom justifiably freaks out because she thinks he's threatening her daughter and is like... So Michael throws her down onto a glass table, shattering it, before he picks her up by the hair and just fucking snaps her neck.
Yep.
Now we're with Laurie at Tommy's house as she waits for Annie to bring Lindsay, the girl that she's babysitting, over so that Laurie can watch them both as Annie goes to fuck her boyfriend. Man, everyone is so horny in this movie.
So the Wallaces are finally out of my face. I just talked to Paul. He's on his way over.
So we cut to Loomis and the sheriff / Annie's dad, and they're talking. And of course, the sheriff doesn't believe Loomis.
Doc, I'm sorry if I don't sound too concerned.
So now we're with Lindsay while Annie gets ready, and Michael Myers is just standing behind her as she watches a movie. But don't you worry, because Michael is a ninja master, and by the time Annie comes in the room, Michael's gone. He's like, cool, take your time, I'll wait upstairs or something.
He's polite.
So when Annie gets to Tommy's house, she takes off back to where she just was, and now Michael is outside the house.
Hi, baby.
Then we cut back to the sheriff's office where Loomis has finally gotten this man to get off his ass by saying that he thinks Michael has come back for her, his sister. Lori is Michael's sister.
I hate it. Go on.
So the sheriff calls Lori's now mutilated parents, and when they don't answer, now he freaks out.
If people in this small town aren't answering their phone, they're dead, Dave. That's how it happens.
No other answer.
No other explanation.
Cut to Annie making out with her boyfriend when Ninja Michael shows up behind the couch, making me yelp like a scared dog, and grabs the boyfriend's hair, lifting him up before stabbing him and throwing him like a fucking rag doll. Now, Annie has to fight for her life against Michael Myers, and she has to do it with her tits out.
Honey, no, not for this movie.
As this is happening, we cut back to Lori and the kids as she's getting ready to leave Tommy by himself to take Lindsay back to the house. Why the hell are you leaving a kid by himself?
Yeah, cool move. Great babysitter skills.
When Lori and Lindsay walk in the front door, they find Annie's boyfriend hanging from the banister with a pumpkin on his head. I love how Michael got bored waiting for Lori and was like, I'm gonna decorate.
The man has a flair for the dramatic.
After they both freak out and scream, Lori sees Annie on the ground, somehow still alive, mind you, and tells Lindsay to go back out the still open front door to Tommy's house to call 911. And when she takes off, the still open front door slowly creeps shut, and Michael is standing behind it. Like, he's just like, I was standing there. After we get a quick scene of the sheriff and Loomis finding out that Michael found Lori, we're back at the house where Lori is now aware of and running from Michael. She gets to the back door and it's locked, so she does the only logical thing you can do in the situation and throws a fucking chair through the door to get out.
Good call.
I mean, fuck unlocking it, you gotta destroy it. So now Lori is running down the street with a limp. Does she pull a hammy throwing the chair through the window?
She didn't do her stretches before Michael Myers came after her.
So she gets back to Tommy's house. Naturally, Michael breaks down the front door as Lori and the kids hide in the upstairs bathroom with that, like, opaque glass door. Girl, you didn't even get into a room that you can barricade?
It's the worst move you could have made.
Luckily, before Michael can get into the bathroom or even upstairs, the cops get to this house. Why this house?
Did Lori call the cops for one house and the cops just showed up at the other house?
Right.
How is Haddonfield set? I need a map.
So the cops split up, and the one that finds the locked bathroom door tells them to open it and come out. But before they can, boom, his dumb face slams against the glass and just starts spewing blood. And then Michael bursts through the glass. And as soon as he does, the other cop yells from down the hall to freeze. And Michael's like, LOL, the fuck? And bolt rushes the cop, who fires one fucking time.
You unload the clip, my dude.
Right.
You keep shooting.
Michael doesn't even flinch and stabs and kills the other cop.
Rip.
And next thing you know, Michael is carrying an unconscious Lori out of the house. Like he got too excited and Lenny'd her and is like, fucking oops.
Lenny'd her.
So the sheriff and Loomis pull up to the correct house, but somehow the wrong house? The other house. And
doesn't make sense. Oh, God.
And when they go inside, the sheriff sees Annie / his daughter on the ground as Loomis goes outside to flag down the ambulance.
Over here! Inside here!
And at the same time, Tommy and Lindsay are screaming and running towards Loomis for help. When they get to him, he tells them to wait by the ambulance. And he takes off towards the wrong but somehow right house. The one where Michael is. And now we see Lori coming to in a dark room. And she sees dead Linda next to her. So we're back in the Myers house as Lori freaks out. So then Michael comes into the room and she begs for him not to hurt her.
Please don't hurt us, please.
He drops the knife, falls to his knees, and takes off his mask, showing Lori the picture of them when she was a baby. The one from the 70s.
The 90s. Actually, I don't know. Because if it's, whatever, present day 2007, and Lori's like, what, 16?
Yeah.
That would mean the beginning of the movie was like 1990 or like 1991 or something. Does that make sense?
No, but you can tell by the way they're dressed that it's like this. It's the 70s. And the cop car, that's not a 90s cop car.
I never really thought about this at all.
So basically, Lori is a 30-year-old high schooler who still lives with her parents.
Sometimes it's hard to leave the nest.
So Lori crawls toward Michael and the knife on the ground, and she grabs it and stabs Michael in the shoulder and neck area. So Lori starts trying to escape through the door that's chained shut somehow from the inside, and she breaks through the door, but now is trapped by a chain link fence.
Yep.
In the basement? Where the fuck are we?
Not only am I going to need a map for Haddonfield, I'm going to need a map for the Myers house, because what the fuck? is going on?
Luckily, she gets through the fence and is now run limping away from him when she just fucking falls into a convenient empty pool in the backyard. And as she lays there in agony, NPC Michael paces around the pool, unable to figure out how to get down there before he finally finds the stairs.
Just fall down there, dude. You've taken so much damage this movie. Just fall down it. Who cares?
As he gets close to Lori, a voice calls out,
Michael! Stop! It's me, Samuel.
Michael stops, peeking over his shoulder as if to say, "New mask, who dis?" before turning back toward Lori. When Loomis's begging doesn't work, he, almost crying, mind you, points the gun at Michael, fires 3 times, putting Michael down.
You can really see the pain in Loomis's eyes when he's forced to keep shooting, like, my paychecks.
So now Loomis pockets the gun as he grabs Lori, putting his jacket on her. And he leads her out of the pool to the cop car that he clearly stole, where she asks,
"Is that the boogeyman?"
I do believe it was.
And because the movie isn't over, even though it should be, bam, the passenger window shatters and Michael reaches in and grabs Lori, dragging her out of the car and back toward the house.
I literally laughed out loud because Loomis yells, "Jesus Christ, what the hell?" Like he's just confused or something.
And then Loomis yells for Michael to stop and tells him that
It's not her fault. It's my fault. I failed you. Let her go.
And Michael goes, "Yeah, all right," and grabs Loomis by the head, squeezing until blood comes out of his eyes, while Lori takes off running into the house.
Why is any of this happening?
So Lori tries to hide from Michael in the house again. After trying several different hiding places, Lori finally settles on the attic. And she crawls through it before she falls through it into basically the same room as Michael. And she gets up and points the gun at him. And Michael just charges and tackles her out of the upstairs window.
Bullets don't affect him, so, like, what was the end game here?
I don't know. Lori comes to on top of Michael, and she grabs the gun that conveniently is within reach. And she pushes herself up and points the gun at Michael's face. After the gun just clicks a couple of times, she pulls the trigger one more time. She screams, just like when her mom killed herself.
I love this last shot. It was really wild. I really enjoyed it.
And roll credits.
See, I'm really glad they actually decided to kill Michael Myers in this movie. Like, finally, wait. Oh, nope, just kidding. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Guess not. Guess not.
I think this was enough for Rob Zombie in my eyes.
I'm done. I've done this, and I don't need any more.
It was a good idea to try the whole origin story thing.
I agree.
I just try it better.
I don't hate everything in this movie. There are some really great ideas. There's some really great cinematography in this thing.
Yes,
there's some
I agree
really
with that,
actual good scares too. I have to say, it wasn't like a total piece of shit top to bottom or anything like that. But I enjoyed some parts more than I thought I would, and other stuff I realized I hated more than I ever remember.
Yeah, that's fair. We could talk more if you want, but I think we should just hop into Scream.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. The less I have to talk about this, the fucking better, Dave. Let's move on.
Moving on.
Movie 2, Scream, 1996.
All right, dude. Give me the synopsis for Scream.
The small town of Woodsboro, California is thrown into chaos when a masked killer with a hard-on for 90s cellular technology begins butchering teenagers. While the victims are smart enough to understand horror movie tropes, they are far too stupid to actually survive one.
So we hop into this movie at breakneck speed where a telephone rings.
Hello?
Teenager Casey, played by Drew Barrymore, answers the phone while alone at home. It's the classic horror movie setup, right?
Right.
But this is also how we know it's in the 90s, because Casey actually answers her phone. I don't know anyone who willingly answers their phone anymore.
Let alone stays on it with a wrong number.
Exactly. The call goes on longer and longer, and our mystery caller finally asks the million-dollar question,
"What's your favorite scary movie?"
And Casey says,
Halloween.
So just a heads up, this is the first of like 1,000 Halloween references in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to point out all of them, but there's some key ones I'll mention.
We just talked about Halloween. Can we fucking not do it again?
This is my movie, Dave. Your rules don't apply. Anyway, our phone call takes a serious left-hand turn when our mystery caller says,
You listen, you little bitch. You hang up on me again, I'll gut you like a fish, understand?
Why the fuck is the phone call still going on? Just hang up.
Call the police. Call the FBI, actually. What are you even doing right now?
Right.
Now, Casey is freaking out, of course, and she's making sure all her doors are locked, and she threatens the mystery caller with her boyfriend, Steve. Apparently...
He's big and he plays football, and he'll kick the shit out of you!
Yeah, sure, okay.
It's too damn late, Dave, okay?
Right.
Steve is already tied up in the backyard, and our mystery caller, he wants to play a little game.
Here's how we play. I ask a question. If you get it right, Steve lives.
His first question is, who is the killer in Halloween?
Oh, we just did that. It's Michael Myers.
I'm really glad you got it right. But here's the second one, Dave. Who is the killer in Friday the 13th?
I feel like this is a trap. Isn't it? This is Jason.
Nope, you're fucking dead. The original Friday the 13th, the killer was Jason's mom.
Jason didn't show up until the sequel.
And you know what that means.
Yeah, that my whole life is a lie.
Well, yeah, I guess that too. But on top of that, Steve is done for. He's sliced open off screen, but we get to see the aftermath, which I think to this day is still kind of effectively freaky imagery.
It's pretty freaky how quickly it happens.
He's not only efficient, Dave. Our killer is good with a knife.
Yeah, he's a hibachi chef.
So our mystery man breaks into the house, and he's dressed in the iconic dime store costume that we've all seen a million times before. Mm-hmm. This is our killer, Ghostface.
It's so goofy.
I think it's appropriately goofy.
Okay, it's not that the costume necessarily is goofy. It's the fact that he's walking around like the fucking Pink Panther.
He totally is. While this is going on, Casey sneaks outside, and there's nothing to keep her from just running away.
Yeah.
But she doesn't, and of course, Ghostface catches her and stabs her in the most awkward way. We see the shot. He's like, what, is this where? Yeah, no, right. Okay, yeah, here it is. Here we go. Stab time.
Dude, they look great, don't they?
Casey's parents, they're home now.
Yeah.
And they find the house is all fucked up. So they go back outside to see their daughter, and she's strung up from a tree, sliced wide open.
And this happens extremely fast, too.
We've established quick with a knife.
Sure.
Like, for me, this is also an effective visual. Like, I remember when I first saw this movie, like, this is an image that stuck with me. Her guts, like, hanging. It was,
yeah,
brutal.
It was pretty gross.
Anyway, Casey is super dead, so we smash cut to our actual main character, Sydney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell.
Yeah.
And she's wearing pajamas from the 1940s. Now, as she types on her computer, her boyfriend, Billy Loomis, played by Skeet Ulrich, comes through the windows and scares her, but also me.
Did you know of a single person that ever snuck into someone's house?
No, I'm sure it happened, but I don't know anybody, and I wasn't doing that. Well, especially at the time. I was 6 at the time, so I wasn't sneaking out in the girls' rooms. But Billy is here to have a very serious talk with Sydney. He needs to get laid.
Oh, Lord.
But he's not that tactless, Dave. He decides to use a really strange metaphor instead.
Right.
We started off hot and heavy. Nice solid R rating on our way to an NC-17. Lately, we're just sort of edited for television.
First off, edited for television is not an MPAA rating. But also, what are you trying to say?
He's saying that, like, there's literally parts of his life just fucking gone because she's not giving him some fucking ass.
Sid throws him a bone and lets Billy do some over-the-clothes stuff. You know, the off-brand version of sex. Now we cut to the next day where Woodsboro High School is crawling with police and reporters, and they're covering the killing of Casey and her boyfriend Steve, who totally didn't end up kicking the shit out of anybody, as it turns out.
Right. Can you imagine finding out that someone at your school or 2 people at your school were fucking murdered by seeing reporters?
I guess it would suck, but it's not like they were sending out, like, doing the phone tree and letting everybody know that, like, hey, just so you know, all your friends are dead. See you at school tomorrow. But outside of school here, we get our first glimpse of celebrity journalist Gail Weathers, played by Courtney Cox during her run as Monica on Friends.
Yeah, Monica's a bitch in this movie.
Dude, Monica sucks in this movie for sure. So Sydney meets up with her friend Tatum, played by Rose McGowan, and Tatum fills her in about the murders.
Casey Becker and Steve Orris were killed last night. What? No way. And we're not just talking killed, we're talking splattered movie killed. Ripped open from end to end.
So the next few scenes basically serve to intro us to some new characters here. So I'll just kind of lay them out, if that's cool.
Go for it.
We've got the concerned Principal Hembry, played by the Fonz himself, Henry Winkler, yes. And we also have Deputy Dewey Riley, who was dropped on his head no less than 10 times as a child. Played by David Arquette. So now we're outside in the courtyard, and we get to meet all of Sydney's friends. We have the previously mentioned future sex offender Billy. We have Sid's friend Tatum. We have Tatum's boyfriend Stu, played by Matthew Lillard. And finally, their dorky friend Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, Malibu's Most Wanted.
In the flesh, baby.
Yeah.
So Sydney seems kind of out of place in this friend group. Like, she's presented as this chaste and naive young girl, while her friends are... Well, actually, I guess they're just normal shithead teenagers, right?
It's called tact, you fuck rag.
So with her dad gone for a few days on a business trip, Sydney's home alone, and she watches TV where we learn her mother was murdered a year ago to the day in Woodsboro.
Oof.
It's a tough reminder to see it on TV, right? So Sydney does the sensible thing and just falls asleep on the couch.
Right, and her fucking nap turns into a full-on sleep.
Good for her. I appreciate a good full-blown sleep in the middle of the day. Anyway, she wakes up to a phone call, and guess who's on the other line, Dave?
The Fonz.
Nope, it's Tatum. So Tatum's going to come and pick up Sydney for a sleepover, but the phone rings again. Now guess who's on the other line, Dave?
Oh, the Fonz.
I swear to fucking God it's not the Fonz. Say the Fonz one more fucking time, Dave.
Are you alone in the house?
Randy, that's so unoriginal. I'm disappointed in you.
Maybe that's because I'm not Randy.
It's our killer. It's Ghostface.
I wish it was the Fonz.
As with all these other phone calls, this one goes downhill pretty damn quick. Ghostface breaks into the house and he chases Sydney around with a knife, but he's easily defeated by light kicks to the legs. You'd think he would have seen it coming, but I guess that's what you get when your whole serial killer costume budget was spent on some sweet Nikes instead of a mask with proper eye holes. What do I fucking know?
Right.
So Sydney gets upstairs and locks herself in her room where she tries to use the internet to dial 911 since her phone isn't working.
If her phone's not working, how is her internet working?
Listen, I don't think I need to explain why this doesn't make sense to anyone over 30. But if you are curious, feel free to go to a rare books archive somewhere, crack the spine of an old worn encyclopedia where you can look up the term dial-up modem.
Pretty sure they could just do that on Google.
Shut up. So, now, Ghostface must have been confused by the wizardry known as the internet because he leaves, and boom, Billy climbs into her window to console her.
Billy!
Door's locked. I heard screaming.
To add to this deeply suspicious and convenient behavior, a cell phone drops from Billy's pocket, and now Sydney may be a lot of things, but stupid is not one of them. She gets the fuck out of there.
Hold your hands together. You wish to give up your right to remain silent?
So she gets the fuck out of the house just as the cops show up.
Yeah.
Billy is carted off in a squad car, and Gail Weathers shows up looking for Sydney and a scoop. She gets neither.
Yeah.
And instead decides to fat shame her cameraman, Kenny.
I know that you're about 50 pounds overweight, but when I say hurry, please interpret that as move your fat tub of lard ass now!
Monica's a fucking savage when she's away from Rachel.
Like, come on, girl. Do better.
Right.
So at the police station, no one can seem to get a hold of Sydney's dad, so she decides to go with her friend Tatum and Deputy Dewey, who are siblings.
Yes.
Outside of the police department, Sid is aggressively approached by Gail Weathers, who asks about the attack. She wants to know the details. They kind of have a back and forth, and Sydney goes full badass and just cold cocks Gail over the mention of her book.
Fucking mollywops her.
There's a deeper history here with Gail and Sydney that led to the punch, but we'll kind of get there later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now we're at the Riley residence, and everyone takes a breath, but things don't calm down. There's a phone call. And it's not the fucking Fonz, Dave, so I'm not even going to give you a chance.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney.
It's Ghostface, and he's mocking her for having the wrong guy arrested.
Can you imagine him calling the house and having the mommy? Hi, yes. May I speak with Sydney, please? Yeah, hang on one second. Hey, bitch.
Who are you?
Don't worry. You'll find out soon enough. I promise.
Dewey comes running out of the room with his gun, and his finger is literally on the trigger.
Right.
What was the plan here?
He just starts shooting everywhere.
The phone wasn't attacking. I mean, I'd probably watch that movie. None of this matters because the next day we get a load of exposition from the TV at the Riley house.
Porter Exposition Man is back.
Sydney Prescott, who escaped a vicious attack last night, is the daughter of Maureen Prescott, who was brutally killed last year when convicted murderer Cotton Weary broke into their home and savagely tortured the deceased.
Cotton Weary was convicted based on Sydney's testimony and handed the death sentence. The Rileys let literally all of this exposition play on the TV, knowing it's like traumatizing Sydney, but they let it play, and then finally, once the reporter exposition guy is done, they turn the TV off.
Right.
Dewey gets off the phone and informs us and Sydney that Billy was released from jail last night since his phone records were clean and he didn't make any of the phone calls. So far, he's only guilty of poor timing and pressuring his traumatized girlfriend for sex. What an asshole.
This is such a dickhead.
So we're back at the school where the place is a media circus featuring our ringleader, Gail Weathers.
Right.
Sydney and her manage to have a civil conversation where we get their tension-filled backstory.
Your mother's murder was last year's hottest court case. Somebody was going to write a book about it.
Right, and it had to be you with all your lies and bullshit theories.
Gail wrote a sensationalist book about Sid's mother's murder where she claims that Cotton Weary is innocent and Sid lied to have him convicted.
Cotton murdered my mother. You're not so sure anymore, are you?
But it's not getting any easier for her because now a couple teenage dickheads run through the school with ghost face costumes on.
See, this is why I have such a problem with this costume, because how is it supposed to be scary if literally anybody can have one?
Well, I think that's the idea, though. That is kind of the scary part. It could be anybody. Anybody has access to this thing. Like, it's not like their mom stitched their initials into it. Like, here's your serial killer costume. Don't want to lose it at camp. We're moving on to other problems because Sydney has a problem. And that problem is Billy.
Oh, God.
She runs right into Billy, and he proceeds to gaslight the fuck out of her.
Sorry, please understand.
Understand what? I have a girlfriend who would rather accuse me of being a psychopathic killer than touch me.
Oh, it's so bad.
What a scumbag. Like, killer or not, Billy is guilty of something.
Is this man really trying to guilt his girlfriend when he can't even wash the fingerprint ink off his fucking fingers?
Yeah, you need a shower more than you need sex, my dude. Like,
right, god damn.
Get your hands wet before you get your dick wet.
You haven't been the same since your mother died.
I can't believe you're bringing this up.
I know, it's been a year.
Tomorrow.
I know what. I think it's time you got over that.
Now, Sydney has to recover from that interaction with Billy because he sucks so bad. So she goes to the bathroom and pulls herself together when she's attacked by the real Ghostface, who I guess has just been in the bathroom the whole time.
Come on.
Outside, Gail hits on Dewey to get the inside scoop about what's going on.
Is there a problem on campus?
No, everything's under control.
You look awfully young to be a police officer.
I'm 25 years old.
Of course, you don't look a day over 12.
She says some really, questionable shit by saying he looks like a fucking 12-year-old, except for not the body.
Yeah, she's, giving real Predator vibes here, man.
The Chris Hansen Predator vibes.
Yeah, we're going to have to move past this because we hear over the PA...
Due to the recent events that have occurred, all classes are suspended until further notice.
So, of course, Tatum's boyfriend, Stu, like any self-respecting teenager, decides to have a party.
Party night, my house, celebrate this little siesta, what do you say?
Now that all the students have left the school, Principal Himbry is alone, and he gets a knock on his office door. But no one is there, Dave.
Oh, God. I mean, come on. Nobody's that fast.
So he leaves his office looking around for whoever knocked, and he comes upon a janitor in a green and red striped sweater with a hat named Fred.
It's so dumb, I hate it.
I thought this was hilarious. It's an obvious nod to Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street, which Wes Craven directed this movie, and he directed that.
Okay.
But this role is played by none other than Halloween director himself, John Carpenter.
Okay.
Listen, I know you're pissed about Escape from LA, but throw the man a fucking bone. Anyway, back in his office, Principal Himbry is brutally butchered by Ghostface.
Womp womp.
We hardly knew ye. But fuck that guy, because we're chugging along right now.
Oh, God.
So back at the station, Deputy Dewey finds out the phone calls are coming from...
Inside the house!
Oh, my fucking God. No. It's registered to... They're registered to a phone which is owned by Sydney's dad. So now Sydney's dad is their prime suspect.
Fine.
I literally don't care how you feel about it because Dewey, he's tasked with one thing.
You stay close to Sydney. Don't let her out of your sight.
Yes, sir.
So he promptly hand delivers Sydney and his sister to Stu's party and lets them get out of sight.
Immediately he's like, go on.
So now that the party's started, Gail shows up out of literally nowhere, and she's met by Dewey, who has the same exact question I do.
What brings you to these parts?
Well, you just never know when or where a story will break.
I guess because Dewey likes to eat paint chips, he takes Gail into the party with him, and she plants a secret video camera so her cameraman Kenny can watch everything from the van.
That seems kind of weird to watch teenagers party.
Kenny's a watcher, Dave. Let him have it. So people greet Gail inside the party, and things start to go a little sour here when Tatum goes to the garage to get some beers. She gets locked out.
The door locks from inside the house, and yet somehow Ghostface is outside in the garage with her.
Somehow. I have no idea how this would be possible at all. Tatum flirts with Ghostface, thinking it's a prank.
Can I be the helpless victim? No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
She is not in the sequel. Ghostface kills her by squishing her in the garage door when she tries to squeeze through the doggy door to escape. Like, I know it's a horror movie, but let's be real. Like, that little garage door opener motor is not carrying a whole-ass human being, especially with enough force to squish her fucking head in.
See, I'm glad you're focused on that, because I can't seem to get my mind off the fact that Tatum fucking clotheslined Ghostface with the freezer door.
Listen, he's a killer. I didn't say he was a good killer. Listen, Tatum's death garage door squish. It's really funny and goofy, but it doesn't matter because we're moving on.
Yeah.
Because now Billy's here.
Oh,
he shows
God.
up to the party and he apologizes to Sydney.
I'm sorry. I've been selfish.
But Sydney apologizes too.
Enough is enough. I can't wallow in the grief process forever.
Girl, no!
You take all the time you need. Billy sucks.
Right.
So we didn't really talk about this earlier, but this is a very meta movie. It references horror films. It's self-aware, and I really like that.
And I don't.
This scene is really pivotal to showing why the meta moments work in this movie versus something like F9.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out. When Billy references movies in their talk, Sydney tells him that this isn't a movie. This is real life. But Billy says,
it's all a movie. It's all one great big movie.
Scream uses all these meta moments to its advantage to subvert what the audience already knows by calling attention to it, whereas F9 just uses them as an excuse to continue getting away with stupid, crazy shit.
Yeah, okay. I don't agree.
How?
It's hard to believe you when Billy says, no, this is a movie. And he might as well have just fucking looked into camera and winked.
The point is it draws attention to itself because it then can subvert it later. And there's a reason he says this, which we'll get to later, but it does all make sense. It's very sound, in my opinion. Believe me or not, I don't give a shit.
Jamie Lee was always the virgin in horror movies. She never showed her tits till she went legit.
Downstairs, the partiers actually watch Halloween, and Randy lays out all the rules for horror movies.
Number 1, you can never have sex. Sex equals death, okay? Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back.
Sex does equal death. Celibacy is the only way.
It's true. Cut your dicks off. So things ramp up now. A few things happen. So Dewey and Gail, they kind of flirt as they both investigate a car that was reported down the road. Turns out to be Sydney's dad's car. He's our main suspect. Maybe he's here, Dave. He's not.
No.
The kids at the party hear that Principal Himbry was found dead, so they all want to see his disemboweled corpse at the school before they take it down. So they're gone. And thirdly, our protagonist, Sydney, she's just gone all the way with Billy. Now, according to Randy's rules, she's as good as dead, man.
If she had only cut her dick off first.
Now, basking in the afterglow of her teenage sexcapades, Sid starts to put a few pieces of Billy's story together that didn't quite fit before.
You don't still think it was me, do you?
No. I was just thinking if it were you, it'd be a very clever way to throw me off track.
Billy gets upset and finally asks the question, what do I have to do to prove to you that I'm not a killer? And as if answered by the gods themselves, Ghostface enters the room and slices Billy up.
Oh, God.
Sid takes off running and the chase is on, but not for long because she falls from the roof and lands on her back on top of a boat and severs her spinal cord, and she's dead.
Game over.
So Randy's our main character now.
Malibu's Most Wanted. Let's do it.
So Sydney is not dead, but things get even worse when she has to see Tatum's squished head in the garage door.
Yeah, this shit is all the way disconnected.
It's like a melted Jell-O mold thing, you know? Like, just... It's pretty disturbing, actually.
Look behind you. Turn around. Behind you.
So we cut to Randy, who is shit-faced, alone, watching Halloween on the couch, and the movie does this clever thing where the score for Halloween playing on the TV also perfectly matches up with the action of this movie, as Ghostface walks in behind Randy, unbeknownst to him.
Turn around. Oh, God, I didn't even turn it around.
Before Ghostface can stab Randy, he hears Sydney scream outside and comes to the quick realization that her spinal cord is intact. She has full range of motion, and he's got to finish the job.
He's like, God damn it, I thought I'd already answered this question.
So Sydney runs up to the news van to meet Kenny when Ghostface slits Kenny's throat. Rip Kenny.
God damn it, they killed Kenny. Those bastards.
Yep. But luckily, Sid is able to escape Ghostface and run away just as Dewey and Gail return to the house. Gail sees that shit is going down, so she gets behind the wheel of the van to take off, but Kenny's body slides down from the roof onto the windshield. Why is Kenny on the roof?
Get off my fucking windshield!
How did the killer get him onto the roof of a van that you can stand up inside of?
Like, why go through all that effort? Like, you have so many more people to murder, and you're wasting your time doing literal deadlifts with Kenny and putting him up on top of the van?
This is very inefficient murdering.
Well, it gets worse for Kenny because even in death, Gail is up here disrespecting him. She takes off in the van and flings his Cheeto-stained body off the roof and into a ditch. I'm just saying, we need justice for Kenny, Dave.
Rip.
R.I.P. King. Anyway, much to my delight, Gail gets her comeuppance almost immediately when she swerves the van off the road to avoid hitting Sydney. She hits a tree and knocks herself unconscious. Sydney doesn't help Gail because fuck her and just runs back to the house.
Yeah, because it's almost over, right?
We're getting there. Apparently, back at the house, Dewey has been stabbed, which sucks, but no time to think about that because Sydney has another encounter with Ghostface. It's like an episode of Scooby-Doo at this point, but more blood. Finally, Sid gets a hold of Dewey's gun and points it at Randy and Stu, who just happened to show up outside at the same time.
Don't shoot, it's me! I found him, she's dead! I think Stu did it!
They blame each other for the murders, and instead of choosing one or the other, she makes like the smartest move and says,
Fuck you both!
That's some shit I would do too.
I love it.
Fucking nope!
Inside, though, Billy appears. Apparently, he's still alive.
Of course he is.
He takes the gun from Sydney and lets Randy in the house for some reason, only to quote Hitchcock's Psycho and shoot Randy.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
No, Billy! Fuck!
That's right, Dave. Here's our big reveal. It was Billy.
Yeah.
But not just Billy. Stu shows up with the voice box they used to make the phone calls.
Surprise, Sydney.
Shaggy was tired of solving crimes and now wanted to commit them.
They were tag teaming the murders all along. It's like the worst wrestling storyline ever. Now Stu and Billy bring Sid into the kitchen where they lay it all out for her. They killed Sydney's mother a year ago and framed Cotton Weary. All they had to do was
watch a few movies, take a few notes.
So now we're finally getting the big payoff as to why Billy is always quoting and referencing horror films. So it's not just self-awareness for self-awareness' sake. It all kind of plays into their motivations and all these things. And speaking of motivations, Sid asks him, why? Why do you think, Dave?
Is it because of the Fonz?
Actually, yeah, no, it's the Fonz. It's literally, this all comes back to the Fonz.
I knew it.
You fucker, you're fired. I am unilaterally firing you from this podcast. Listen, if you can get Henry Winkler himself on this show, I will forgive you. So Sid asks why, and according to Billy, they don't need a motive. It's scarier when they don't have a motive.
Yeah, and then he goes on and tells her the motive.
Immediately.
Your slut mother was fucking my father, and she's the reason my mom moved out and abandoned me.
I'm just going to say this once, but like, it takes two to tango. Like, maybe some of that blame should fall on your fucking dad? I don't know. Cut your dad's dick off.
Celibacy is the only answer.
So Stu then brings out Sydney's dad, who is bound and gagged, and they reveal their ultimate plan. They've already cloned Sid's dad's cell phone and set him up. Now they're going to kill him and Sydney, which leaves Stu and Billy as the only survivors here. It's a perfect plan, Dave.
Yeah, it's not going to go wrong.
To sell this narrative, Stu and Billy have to stab each other, but only a little bit.
No one, man. Jesus.
They take turns, but Billy gets Stu pretty deep, which is really fun to watch our villains kind of turn on each other a little bit.
But Billy, would you, all right? I'm feeling a little woozy here.
They're both bleeding, so they gotta finish the job.
Yeah.
Stu goes for the gun, but guess who has it? It's Gail. She has the gun, and I guess that tree knocked some courage into her because she's back for blood.
Yeah.
Except she forgot that the safety was on, and her killers knock her out again and then get the gun back.
If Gail ends up surviving this, she's definitely gonna need a helmet.
In all the chaos, Sydney escapes and turns the tables on Stu and Billy. The phone rings.
Hello? Are you alone in the house?
You bitch, where the fuck are you?
We're gonna play a little game. It's called
Guess who just called the police and reported your sorry motherfucking ass?
Sydney's in control now. Stu is losing way too much blood, so Billy goes after her and she pops out of the closet, dressed in the full Ghostface costume for some reason, and stabs Billy with an umbrella and takes the gun back.
So her choices were A, leave, B, kill her attackers, or C, take the time to dress up as Ghostface before getting her revenge.
I understand, like, thematically, like, Sydney wearing the costume is like her taking her power back, and I'm all for that. Don't get me wrong. But within the mechanics of this film, that is quite a flair for the dramatic in a life and death situation.
So stupid.
Whatever. She's not done yet. She dukes it out with Stu in the living room and finally takes him down. He gets this like last second adrenaline push to try to kill her, I guess.
Oh God.
Yeah, she pushes the TV on top of his head, which is still playing Halloween, and it kills him. And I thought this was a fitting death. Hear me out. It was horror movies that set him on this path, right?
Yeah.
And now it's a horror movie that's taken him out. So Randy is still alive for some reason, which is great, I guess. But so is Billy, and he tackles Sydney and goes to stab her when, bang, a gunshot rings out. It's Gail fucking Weathers, who desperately needs an MRI. She gets her one-liner, which I really like.
Guess I remember the safety that time, you bastard.
And just as we think it's all over, Randy, in all of his infinite horror movie wisdom, warns us.
Careful. This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life.
And as with everything, Randy's fucking right, man. Billy leans up and almost says, boo.
Jesus.
But Sydney's ready and she puts a bullet in his skull.
Not in my movie.
Now, everything is done. Evil has been defeated, and the sun rises over the house, Dave. It's beautiful. Outside, Dewey survived, I guess, and he's being loaded into an ambulance, while Gail gives one last fuck you to Kenny as she goes on camera to report with a new crew of 3 other people. So let it be known, it took 3 people to do the job Kenny did alone. Roll credits. Did you have a fun time watching this movie, though?
No, I did, yeah.
I thought it was a real blast from the past. For me, there's a lot of things that I didn't really specifically remember, so it's fun to revisit and take another stab at it. So it was really fun to like revisit this thing through the modern lens of movies today. Held up? I don't know if that's necessarily for me to say, but I did have a lot of fun watching it, and I had a really great time putting you through it.
Listen, I had fun watching it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun movie. I just don't think that it deserves to be at the level that it is.
This was pretty quintessential for the time. This movie revitalized slashers and horrors in general, actually.
I just don't know why the fuck it did, because there was no other movies like it after.
It was a big cultural hit at the time.
I mean, we could argue here all day long if you want, but we have a whole segment dedicated to just this point.
Oh, I'm not arguing anything, to be honest with you. I don't have to argue against fucking Rob Zombie, so let's make that perfectly clear. But if you want to talk more about it, I guess we can move on to the next segment.
Let's do it then.
Movie versus movie. Welcome to the Thunderdome. Thunderdome. This place fucking rules.
All right, now that we've both cut our dicks off, this is the Thunderdome segment. Before we watch these movies, Dave and I decide on 5 things that we both agree make a good genre movie.
Yes.
In this case, slashers.
Yeah.
So let's go through them.
Let's do it.
First, it has to have good scares.
Are we shitting pants, though?
It has to feature an unstoppable killer.
Why won't he die?
We need a teen or young main character.
We all know kids are stupid enough to be in this position, right?
It should have sufficient gore.
Hope you didn't just fucking eat.
And finally, it should have constantly rising tension.
Are we puckering buttholes?
All right, so the first thing here, the movie has to have good scares. I think Scream has really great scares, despite it having some comedic moments and stuff. There's some really effective, scary things here. There's not too many like jump scare kind of things, which I don't like, but there's a lot of great horror happening here. I really enjoy like the red herring aspect to this, which I didn't touch on a whole lot, but they kind of point to a bunch of different people, and it's kind of a whodunit movie, which I think gave us a lot of good scares because you never know who it's going to be. You never know who has what going on in their head. And I think a lot of that has to do with how good the scares were.
I don't think there was a single part of Scream that made me frightful at all.
Nothing scared you at all?
Not to my recollection, no. Or even like, oh, that's creepy. Like, not even once. I think the comedic elements really took me all the way out of it. We'll get into this under tension. However, with Halloween, this movie had plenty of times that actually made me go, oh shit, while watching it in a fully lit room. So it goes to reason that in a dark room, watching To Be Scared, that this movie's scares would be even more effective than they already are.
Listen, I agree. There's some good scares in Halloween. I just don't know if I caught all of them because I was listening to Dr. Loomis talk for 3 fucking hours about how Michael is evil. Like, wake me up when I can give a fuck about any of this.
Well, Loomis was talking so much about Michael because it was like a backstory about the killer, which brings us to our next point, unstoppable killer. Michael Myers is arguably the most unstoppable killer in scary movie history. I mean, in this movie alone, he gets stabbed in the neck, shot 3 times in the back, survives a fall from the 2nd-story window, and still moves like he's at 100% health. And even the 4th shot to his face might not have killed him.
Dude, he's like a skin-covered bag of concrete.
Fucking facts.
And I agree, Michael Myers is like a classic horror movie character, right? In the original movies, he was more of this almost supernatural thing. But with Rob Zombie's version, they kind of humanize him and then also make him paranormal. But I think there's a lot around his design and setup that doesn't really sell me on any of this stuff. He's just like a dopey dude.
Well, that's fine because all we have to sell you on is him being unstoppable.
Whereas in Scream, I have to say, the killers were stopped, but there's 2 of them. So I think it helps their point. They are persistent in the way that they keep getting hit by refrigerator doors and conked on the head and taking light kicks to the abdomen from small women, and they continue on their killing spree. So they have a particular tenacity for continuing their work. I would say tag teaming like they do, it helps sell the idea of this almost supernatural seeming killer like Michael Myers appears to be, but is actually rooted and grounded in real life.
Yeah, I don't agree.
That's fine. I don't care because you know who I do care about? Sidney Prescott, our teen young main character. Sidney Prescott is like the quintessential teen or young main character. Like, she's the final girl, right? She starts as this kind of, chaste, young, quiet, naive girl, but she really comes into her own as a character. She goes through this major arc. We see her take her power back, and she's the one who ends the killer, and she does it with force. She does it with a sneer on her face, and I love that about her. She takes no shit from anybody.
All right, fine. I will concede that to you. But that's mainly because Laurie kind of sucks in this movie.
Laurie's trash.
However, I will make this argument for her, okay? After she meets Michael, she does fall into the stereotypical teen main character arc, essentially, where she's terrified, she's running, she escapes, and then she ends up killing him with that same kind of snarl that Sydney has in her movie. She, in fact, spits on Michael before shooting him in the face. So, first half of the second half of the movie, she kind of sucks. Second half, she sucks less.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, though. She's the stereotypical teen young main character. Right. What she is actually is just the stereotype. She doesn't have the mechanics underneath her character to actually bring her across the finish line as an actual fleshed out character. We get the whole movie with Sydney to do that. Halloween doesn't have that kind of time, but it doesn't feel like it even tries. It just plugs and plays with her as a character. Now she's scared. Now she's being chased by the killer, and now she's overcoming the killer. Now she's stabbing. It doesn't mean anything for her journey. With Sydney, she overcomes her fears. She gets through a lot of things emotionally. But with Laurie is just a vessel for us to follow in the movie. It means nothing to her or us.
Okay, so Halloween doesn't have a great teen main character. That's fine. I will concede that. What it does have is sufficient gore. Because, we got to see Michael pin a man to a wall with a knife through the chest. We saw him stab a nurse in the throat with a fork. And we saw him basically crush Loomis's skull. This movie was fucking brutal.
I agree with you. There's a lot of gore in Halloween, and there's a lot of efficient gore. It's not crazy necessarily over the top or disgusting. I think it works within the confines of that film.
Right.
And I think with Scream, what is nice about it is that there isn't a ton of gore because that's not the point of the film, but the gore that we see, like the sliced open kids in the beginning, and we see Tatum's like head being squished and stuff. So where it's sparse, I think it is really effective, and those images really stick with you through the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I'll give you that. The small amount of gore that we do see is sufficiently brutal.
Yeah, and I do have to say, one thing I might love the most about Scream is how it constantly builds upon itself. We're talking about the rising tension.
Yes.
This movie starts with a bang and sets up our killer, but as we go, that tension is constantly rising because we don't know who it is, what their motivations are. It's a big mystery, so it really does let your mind run with this thing, and I think that tension really plays into the whole experience of Scream. It's so strong, and even when you know the outcome of this, it still makes me want to watch the movie again. It's such a great experience.
I knew that this point was going to be our most contentious because I don't agree with anything you just said. I don't think this movie has any tension whatsoever.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
Every time it starts to build some, there's a meta moment that just makes it go entirely away because it pulls you out of the tension to be like, eh? And then it has to rebuild the tension.
Oh, I didn't have that experience at all.
I just don't think that meta moments help build tension. I think they do the exact opposite. Whereas in Halloween, while the middle of this movie did drag, I think that the beginning, before he goes into the sanitarium, there's a lot of tension shown with Mikey's shit family, his shit stepdad person, his fucking shit bully, constantly pushing him until he breaks and fucking murders everybody. And then, of course, once he's out, once we skip the middle half hour of this movie, now we get to see even more tension. Because every time Michael interacts with anybody, you know that he's going to kill them, and you're just waiting for him to do it, which kind of gives you that uneasy, like, oh, fuck, I'm so tense.
But it just levels off and tanks when the movie turns into a different movie halfway through, and then we have to start trying to build that goodwill and build that tension up. So it's kind of like going up a mountain, falling off a cliff, and then trying to get your broken legs to pull you up a different mountain. And it just doesn't work for me. It's so all over the place that by the time we get to the end, I don't care because all that tension's been sucked out. We've been through all this shit. We've listened to all this exposition, and now I just want it to end.
I mean, that's fair. I understand the whole because it's not keeping you engaged. That's why I did not like Scream, because I wasn't engaged through any of it. Because every 2 to 3 minutes, there's a meta moment that breaks that tension for me. It makes me go, okay.
I don't know. I thought you would appreciate the meta moments more. To be perfectly honest with you,
I thought I would too. Like, actually, you know what? To be honest, at first I did. At first I was like, all right, I like this. And then by the third one, I was like, okay, for real?
It is a lot. I will give you that. It is a lot, but I really thought you would enjoy it.
I would say legit 5 minutes in, I was fucking over it.
Some horror movie people on the internet may have something to say about that.
Fucking come at me, bro. I'm turning my DMs off.
Are you ready to finish this thing off?
Let's fucking do it, man.
Hey, look, we did it. It's the finish line. We're at the finish line. Can I go home yet? All right.
Well, here we are. We are at the finish line, and I am exhausted. So,
me too. God damn.
I'm just going to get into it, man. I didn't love either of these movies, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
Normally, I either love one and hate the other, or I just love both. This, I enjoyed both, but I didn't love either one. So I have to go with our 5 points. And in our 5 points, I don't feel that Scream had 3 of them.
What?
I just don't think that it had any tension. I don't think the killer was unstoppable at all. And I don't think it had any scares.
Wow.
Due to there not being any tension. Even though I did enjoy Scream, I don't think it was a good horror slasher film. I think it was a good comedy. So I have to pick Halloween.
Wow. Wow. I wish I had other words other than wow, but I'm fucking baffled. Seek treatment. So here's my thing. I like to be open with all these movies. And I gotta say, Halloween sucked. But I did enjoy a lot of things about that movie. I understand why the criticisms are there because there's a lot to critique in it. It's a clunky-ass film. But I gotta say, I really, 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 really liked Scream again. And it's been a good 15-ish, probably plus years since I've seen it. And boy, howdy, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was so much fun, and I remember how it ended and everything.
Yeah.
But I still felt pulled into the characters and noticed a lot of things I didn't really pick up on when I was younger. I have to go with Scream, man. I mean, it's a fucking classic. Yeah. And it's a classic for a reason. There's so many great things about it, and it's not the perfect movie by any stretch, and I would never make that claim. But it is a really great slasher horror film that changed the paradigm when it came out, and I still think has a lot of great things that hold up today. I know that leaves us in a tough bind here.
Yeah, we gotta have a tiebreaker.
This is our first tiebreaker segment, isn't it?
This is the captain. Red alert. Red alert.
Welcome to the tiebreaker.
So I got the perfect person to call.
Okay.
I'm gonna call my buddy Jeff.
Cool.
Hello.
Hey, so we cannot decide between two movies. All right, which one's the better movie in its genre? And the genre is horror slasher films. And the movies are the original Scream versus Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007. So we need your tiebreaker opinion on which one's the better horror slasher film.
I'm gonna have to go with Halloween.
Okay.
What?
Most definitely Halloween.
Okay. Why's that?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Michael Myers, bro. Also, it's horror slasher film. You know how much slashing there's going on in the Halloween movie?
That's true.
I mean, based off the straight up fact of slasher, I think that's a winner, but I think it does have that level of fear, and I don't know. I think Scream's kind of bland.
Wrong.
I think I agree with you. Blake.
That's all I really got.
I hate this.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Blake.
But I hate this.
Well, thank you for helping us decide. You have been instrumental.
Hell yeah.
All right, buddy. We'll see you later.
Listen, I'm going to send for my things, Dave. Because this is a fucking travesty. Rob Zombie's Halloween? God damn it. I am ashamed. You're fucking wrong. Jeff's fucking wrong. Anybody else who agrees with you is fucking wrong. Oh my God. I need to be in therapy right now.
Hey, First Prize listeners. Thanks for tuning in this week. Thanks for slashing through these things with us. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed hearing Blake hate me in real time,
I do.
Consider subscribing to our socials. It's at First Prize Pod on all platforms, and that includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on TikTok and YouTube as well. Also, don't forget to check out our website. It's firstprizefilms.com.
Yeah, we do this for free because we make our actual money committing murder. But if you'd like to support us, consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts or even just telling your friends.
Next week, we're taking the week off for the holiday, but join us in 2 weeks as we break our brains with these sci-fi films.
We are watching Inception 2010 versus Total Recall 1990.
Yeah, it's going to blow every level of mind.
I'm probably going to dream my way. I don't know, something dream related.
See ya.
Bye. This isn't a direct quote. I'm reading this like, wow, I think I had a seizure writing this.